So excited about partnering with you on this. Yeah,
Thank you
go
so
ahead, your work.
much. Thank you so much, Coach Paps. I salute you. You know, Paps is a wonderful leader from Kenya. She's the founder of Reconfidence Africa, and her organization has been leading women on journeys of self-discovery to really build themselves holistically. And it's been an honor to partner with Paps. You know, a few weeks ago in Kenya, we hosted the Standout Executive Ladies Retreat, and it was phenomenal. And I see some of you on the call today were at that retreat, and it's such a pleasure to see you again. Okay, so I will get started by telling you a couple of things. I see a few people are still joining, so I'm going to repeat some of what I said at the onset, which is number one, I'm going to be sharing some things that are really vulnerable. And I was thinking twice about whether to share them or not because this is on record. But I am asking you to hold me in a safe space as I share with you vulnerably today. Will you do that? Can you let me know in the chat box? Will you hold me in a safe space? Will you not judge me? Will you, not put me out there? But I'm sharing vulnerably today because I want you to know that this comes from a deep place of longing, that the transformations that have happened in my life will happen in the lives of others. So I want you to hold me in a safe space. Please just type safe space in the chat box. I see some of you are typing. Just guarantee that you're going to hold me in a safe space. The second thing is I want you to not think of other people as we talk about the topics tonight. I know sometimes you go to church. I know I go to church sometimes and then the preacher's preaching something. I was like, oh, I wish sister so-and-so were here or brother so-and-so was here. They need this, they need that. And, tonight is not about what other people need. Today is about what you need. So that's the second thing I'm asking of everyone to just really personalize everything I'm going to say today. Look at what parts of it fit where you're at today and invite the interrogation, the vulnerability, and the questioning that's required in order for you to just receive some of the things that I'll be saying. All right. And then lastly, I just really want to I want to encourage you to think about what are the practical things you can take from tonight's call to just start applying immediately. Okay. I am very results driven. And so I like to get a really high return on investment for everything that I spend my time on. So you're spending the next hour and a half possibly with me. And I want you to think about what you can take from today's call and apply immediately. Okay. So the goal of today is to give you a few strategies that I believe will help you renew. And this entire seminar came about as a result of a conversation Paps and I were having in the aftermath of the Standout Executive Ladies Retreat in Nairobi, Kenya, a few weeks ago. We had a phenomenal group of women, some of whom are on this call today, and I gave a presentation from our standout leadership curriculum titled Treat Yourself Like an Asset. And I talked about some of my own journey. And I left out a big chunk of that presentation because we were pressed for time. And Paps and I have been on this journey together. And she said, well, we didn't talk about the Renew framework that you developed. We didn't talk about the Renew challenge in Kenya. So we need to do a webinar so that we can introduce people to that because it really is a big piece of what has become my own physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, and full body, full life transformation. So, my goal today is to talk you through 5 strategies from the Renew framework that I developed. And so, for those of you who were with us in Kenya a few weeks ago, this might be for you a continuation of the Treat Yourself Like an Asset module of the Standout Women's Leadership Program. And for those who are new to Stand Out or new to me or new to this whole space, first of all, welcome. But secondly, for you, I want you to take this as an introduction to what I hope will be a conversation that results in change in your life and hopefully in the lives of people you love. So, I'm going to kick off the presentation, and I really want you to, again, hold me in a safe space as I walk you through, but also, just take this information for yourself wholeheartedly, and then think of what you can apply immediately. And then at the end, for those of you who might be interested, I'm going to invite you to join us for the next 52-day Renew Challenge, which is an exciting opportunity that I'll talk to you about at the end of today's presentation. So let me see if I can figure out how to open my slide deck, and then we will get started. So hopefully you can see my slides now. Let's see. All right. So, welcome to the seminar. The focus of today is treat yourself like an asset. And I'm going to be talking you through strategies to renew yourself, especially without having to sacrifice your career and relationships and other things while you do it. I've been really passionate about this topic this year, especially because when I created the Standout Women's Leadership Program, this was in 2014. So Standout is already 10 years old. For those of you who don't know me, I've been working with leaders for over a decade as a coach, as an advisor, as a consultant, as a trainer. I've been, working one-on-one with leaders at senior levels, at mid-career levels. And I think my specialty is really results. For people who are seeking results and seeking transformation, God has just been really, merciful to me in giving me insight and strategies to help people move from point A to point B. And so I have been there for leaders for years, and I've been passionate about empowering and training and helping and coaching and doing all of the things, right? But how many of you know that it's so easy sometimes to fall into the pattern of serving others that sometimes you start to lose yourself? That's what started to happen to me. I was so good at serving other people and showing up as a coach and as a leader developer, as a trainer, as a speaker, as an author. Type in the chat box if that fits you. You're so good at serving other people. Let me know in the chat box. Am I talking to someone who can understand what I'm saying? So good at obsessing over the needs of other people, so good at really taking care of your family, your friends, your coworkers, your bosses, and everything, but somehow you get lost in the mix. So in May 2022, I was in this place where I was unwell. I was, the world was applauding for me. I was, founder of this great leadership organization, had been part of the unfolding success stories of so many women and men around the world, was working at a high level with governments. To date, I've met about 12 heads of state, interacted with very high level people, royalty, presidents. I mean, my life from the standards of my family was looking really good, and I don't know about you, if you probably fit into that category where everybody's applauding you, everybody's impressed by you. Maybe you've gone further than anyone thought you would ever go. And so you are, by everyone else's standards, a success. But maybe, like with me, there's a still small voice telling you that you need to change. That's what was happening with me. I felt so burdened, so really, really unwell. I'd become heavier than I had been in my life. At my heaviest, I weighed 126 kilos. I couldn't walk up a flight of stairs without breathing and panting as if my life was ending. I, was as a parent unable to keep up with my kids. I was that mom who would say things like, let's not go outside and play today. Let's just watch something on TV. Not so much because I didn't want them to play, but because I just couldn't keep up with them unless I had someone helping me. I mean, I was falling apart, and then my labs started to show that I was actually falling apart. Before I knew it, I started to have symptoms, high blood pressure. I was put on medication for that. I started to have high blood sugar and so developed into diabetes. I was on medication for that. And then eventually my cholesterol as well was through the roof and was put on medications for cholesterol. So in May 2022, I am 126 pounds, 126 kilos, overweight and just unwell. I don't feel good. I'm lethargic. I'm still producing work that the world is applauding, but I know that my body is shutting me down. I know that I'm not as sharp as I used to be. I know that I'm not doing the things at the level that I know I'm capable of doing. And I don't know how many of you can identify with that. I mean, it was a deep place for me. It got so bad that at certain points, when it came time for intimacy with my husband, I'd feel so much shame. He started to notice that I wouldn't change or undress in front of him. He started to notice that my attitudes, he knew me as a very boisterous, lovely, lively person, but he even started to notice that I didn't seem as sure of myself as I used to. I started to second guess myself a lot. I started to feel as though, oh my, what's going on? I'm a shadow of my former self. I don't know if this resonates with anybody, but I was not in a good place. And I started to feel as though I was nearing the end of my life, if I'm being completely honest. To wake up tired, to feel lethargic, to lose motivation. And yet everyone on the outside is still applauding you as a great leader. It is a dangerous place to be because you can be so blinded by what outwardly people are saying that you don't do the work to rescue yourself. And I feel like that's the trap that I was in. I tried to take control. I went to a personal prayer retreat and just felt like God was leading me to stop everything. And for me, that was a big deal. I have been working since I was 19. I do not know how to chill. I am the kind of person that is uneasy to rest. I just don't know it. Even on days off, I find myself working because I don't know what to do with myself. And I felt like this word was ringing in my heart. I'm redeployment. Like I need to redeploy myself. And so I obeyed what I felt like was the voice of God. And I stopped everything and decided to just focus on following that internal radar, which was telling me it was time to renew. And so, being a Christian, I went to the scriptures. The Bible says that God renews our youth like the eagle. So I started to read about the eagle. How does an eagle renew itself, right? And it was so fascinating to me to find out, not really from the Bible, but from National Geographic and other, research that I did, that an eagle is one of the most majestic birds. Everybody loves the eagle. Many countries use the eagle as the symbol of their country or as justice or freedom. And the ego is so peculiar. The ego goes through this renewal process. And the renewal process can take anywhere up to 180 days. And what the eagle does is that it flies to the highest height. It puts itself in the cleft of a rock and it stays there. It plucks off its beaks and plucks off its feathers, and it just stays there until new feathers grow back, until a new beak develops. And my Bible was telling me that that's how God renews our youth. So I really felt like I was being invited into this journey of just stopping and waiting and plucking off the old feathers, like the old identities, plucking off the old beak, the old ways I thought about myself or spoke about myself, and just wait. And it's in that waiting process that I started to do deeper work that has resulted in this renew framework. For me, I really, really felt like it was time for me to revitalize, regain my energy, regain my vitality, regain my vigor. But I was also scared because, look, did not have a good track record with any attempts at good health in the past. I would register for a gym, for example, go for like a week or two, and then stop. Do I have some witnesses in the house? Just let me know in the chat box. Am I alone? Was I the only one who was doing things like that? Do I have some witnesses? Right? I could join a gym and be faithful for maybe a week max and then stop. I would join a diet group, maybe be faithful for like 2 weeks and stop, and I was forever about to start a diet. Do I have some witnesses in the house? I'll start it next Thursday, but this week, I'm going to start it tomorrow. I'm going to do it next month. There was never a perfect time for me to be faithful. So I had also developed this track record of not practicing integrity with myself. So I knew that I had this deep hunger for transformation and change, but I also knew that I did not have a good track record of being changed, even though I had the hunger. Do you know what I mean? So I was in this peculiar state, and I went to my favorite book, which is my Bible, and started just seeking. And for me, it was in December. So I get this epiphany in May. I try with my own strength. I'm going to stop this. I'm going to stop eating that. I'm going to start working out. And it's just not working. And it was in December last year that I really got an epiphany. And my epiphany moment was in the study of Nehemiah. The Bible talks about Nehemiah rebuilding the broken walls of Jerusalem. And, I just really caught this picture that, wait, the Bible says that our body is the temple. And if Nehemiah could take 52 days to rebuild that temple back in the day that was ruined and broken and lying desolate, could it possibly be be feasible for me to rebuild my physical body, which is the new temple, in 52 days? And I got obsessed with that idea. And I just felt like inspired to believe that if I gave God 52 days and doing nothing but some of the things I'll talk about today, that perhaps God could, just like Nehemiah did, rebuilding the old broken walls of the Temple of Jerusalem. My physical body could be rebuilt in much the same way. So that was my story. I just really started to believe differently and to think differently. But more importantly, I started to not rely on my own strength anymore. It became more of a spiritual journey first than me and my willpower are going to sort this thing out type of journey. And I have to tell you that it's been phenomenal. You see, this photo on the left is me at my heaviest, weighing 126 kilos. And, this picture that you see on the right was taken, I believe, in May this year. So it didn't take very long for me to lose nearly 42 kilos of weight, for me to no longer need medication for diabetes, hypertension, or high blood sugars. Um, I high blood sugar, high blood diabetes, all of that. I don't need medications for any of that. In fact, I've continued to do doctor's appointments just to make sure I'm still on track and I'm still disease free. So I really share my story because I think I had been teaching that we need to treat ourselves like assets for years. It's been a core part of our standout leadership program. But I don't think I'd ever started living it until this year. And I know that some of you listening to me or watching me have been going through seasons like I was going through, where professionally people are clapping for you. People are impressed by you. Maybe you're impressed by you, right? You've come further than you thought you would go. But I'm convinced that some of the leaders that God will use to transform our continent and transform our world will not be able to do so because they are unwell. And so some of us are self-destructing and ending our lives before our times because we're not caring for our body as the asset that God gave us to do life with. Am I making sense? Just let me know in the chat box. Are you tracking? Are you following? I've become really passionate about this because, as you can see from these pictures, there's a lot of physical change in me. But beyond the physical changes, it's the mindset shifts. It's the shifts in attitude. And that's why I really want to focus today's webinar on Renew. 52 days really kickstarted a new way of living for me. That's not just a fad diet. It's not just a way of, tantalizing, I'm trying to get a beach body. You know how we all try to lose weight in the summer, get the beach body so that we can wear the swimsuits with confidence. No, that's not what it is for me. For me, it's how do we help leaders make the fundamental shifts that are necessary for them to enjoy the longevity that is needed for them to do the thing that God has called them to do in the world. And I could see from the way I was living my life that God had plans for me, but I might not have lived or might not live to fulfill them if I kept living the way I was. So, how was I living? You know, for me, I really, really want you to understand that many of us are living our lives overwhelmed, overscheduled. We spend more time fixing other people than we do fixing ourselves or caring for ourselves. And in economic terms, what's an asset? An asset is something that produces value, produces income or return. So investments are considered assets, property is considered assets. And I believe that God considers all of us assets, right? We're supposed to be yielding. The first commandment we were given is be fruitful, and multiply. And the truth is, we are so bought into this idea of doing that we forgot our being. I was overloaded with responsibilities. I did not make time to take care of myself. And if I did, it was very ineffective, quick fixes. Do I have some witnesses in the house? I could throw money at my problems, right? Oh, don't worry, I'll just buy the medicine. Don't worry, I'll just buy the weight loss drugs, right? Oh, don't worry, I'll pay the gym membership to trick my mind into thinking that I'm doing something about the problem, but I would never go. Or I would join the weight loss group and play around, and then I would sit there feeling very, very entitled and say things like, these things don't work. I tried it. No, I didn't. I didn't really try. I just threw money at the problem. It was just a quick fix. I don't know if I've got witnesses in the house. Let me know in the chat box. See, many of us are overwhelmed, we're overworked, we're overweight, we're overmedicated, and many of us are underrested. That's been one thing that this journey has taught me. Many people now know that every week I take a Sabbath rest. I never used to do that. And like I said, I used to be a chronic overworker. Since 19, I just learned how to just hustle, bustle, keep it going, grit, make things happen. And this process has taught me to approach life differently. You see, in the past 2 years, if I'm being honest, two other things have happened that have really set me on this path. I lost two near and dear relationships, Both of them, I ended up being part of the officiating team at the funerals. One was just a few months ago as well. Each passed away because of a lifestyle disease, something that could have been cured by better choices. You see, some of you have big assignments on your life. People are waiting on the other side of you obeying the call to do whatever you're meant to do. But we can't go solve the problems out there until we first get a handle on what's happening in here. One of my favorite Bible verses talks about Moses, and the scriptures say that he died at 120 years old, and his eyes were not dim, and neither was his natural force abated. That blew my mind. Like, how can you be 120 years old, no change in your eyesight, and you're still vital, still vigorously strong? That really changed my perception because I was in my late 30s and couldn't hardly breathe after walking up a flight of stairs. People would be asking, am I okay? I'm in my 40s now, and people are saying, wow, you look better than you did in your 20s. And I'm like, oh, tell me more about that. You see, I am so thankful for this process that I've been through, that I'm not just talking now about wellness, I'm living it. And when I say treat yourself like an asset, I really want you to now start thinking of yourself like, how can I be around longer? How can I live the life in such a way that I too will be as vital as I can until the day God calls me? That's my new goal. So in the 52-day period, I did learn a few things that I wanted to share. The first thing that I realized is you don't actually need more time. My biggest excuse for everything was that I don't have the time. I'm too busy. I'm too busy doing this. I'm too busy being important. I'm too busy flying on the plane. I'm too busy chairing this meeting. I'm too busy writing this book. I'm too busy. I'm too busy. I'm too busy. Do I have some I'm too busy people in the house? Has that been your excuse too? Have you felt like, where would I fit wellness practices into my life? Let me see the I'm too busy people. Show me by emoji or show me in the chat. The I'm too busy for this. The I'm too scheduled for this. Don't you know I have a husband, I have children, I have a job, I have to commute, I have this, I have that. And I found that the excuses just continue to kick my problems down the road. The excuses continue to absolve me mentally from trying. The excuses continue to be the thing I would hide behind instead of pushing through. And I realized that I do have time. I just needed the right system. The second thing that I learned on my 52-day adventure is that our body can heal faster than we think it can. I was shocked at the amount of weight I lost, um, with very minimal exercise in the beginning. In the beginning, I was focusing more, I'll walk you through the 5 strategies in the Renew program. It started off first with relationship and energy before I even touched nutrition. And I didn't realize that our bodies could heal much faster than we think. And you know what? This process gave me an appreciation for how beautifully and wonderfully God made us, that you give the body the right conditions and it just fixes itself. And, for all of you who've given me compliments, it's just because I decided to start giving my body the right conditions, and everything else seems to have come back into order just because of that. So I learned in this 52-day process how to give my body what it needs when it needs it, and begin to understand better how to listen to my body, how to give it the right nutrition, give it the right rest, the right lighting, the right air, the right, and there's just so much that I learned. But the second piece of it is that our body can repair itself if we give it the right conditions, and it can happen much more quickly than you think. Because after the 52-day period, I stopped taking my high blood pressure medication. My blood pressure stabilized, so I didn't refill. And my doctor asked me to go back and, monitor for a number of weeks. And if it remained consistent, then he would just put me off the medicines. And it did. So that was my second epiphany. The third thing is that with clarity of vision and a guided pathway, and if you incorporate accountability, you can do anything. For those of you who are like, oh, as for me, I could never do what you've done. I could never lose. Look, that used to be me. I could sit there and think like, huh, must be nice for you. I would be giving side eye to those skinny women who seem to never put on weight. Do I have witnesses in the house? Those of us who give side eye to those who seem to be in better shape than us sometimes because we're wondering like, oh, what could we ever? Could we ever be as healthy, as fit, as strong? But I tell you, given the right conditions, the clarity of vision, the right plan and focus, it's possible. So let me tell you about the 5 strategies that I've worked into this Renew framework. I did the 52 days, then I did it again, and it kept getting me such good results that people were accusing me of having gone to do weight loss surgery. They accused me of having gone to do some sort of facial surgery. I got accusation after accusation. And I said, no, this is not pills. This is not a fad diet. This is just me having learned certain things. I put them together. And in June this year, I invited people to join me and I journeyed with them to do this whole process. And 42 women from 7 countries said yes. So I've had women from Ghana, Kenya, Tanzania, Germany, the US, and what was the other country? I can't even remember, but at least 7 countries signed up. And I went through day by day. This is what I've been eating. This is how I've reorganized my life. This is what I've done with relationships. This is what I've done with my energy. This is how I move. And this is what I do with relation to work. And it's transformed my life, but now it's also transformed the lives of some other women. So I'm just so thankful that so many people got to benefit from what I learned. And the strategies were simple. And it spells renew. So the first is relationship. We have to re-examine our relationships, our relationship with the higher power, our God or creator, ourselves, and with others. I was surprised that this process didn't actually start with food or exercise. And I think that that was my issue in times past. You don't realize the fundamental shifts that you need to make in your life are always connected to how you relate to yourself, others, and your God. And I have to say, it was life transforming to start there. So the first pillar and strategy is re-examining relationships. What is it that makes me feel like I need to binge eat all day? What is it that made me so compulsive in eating that I couldn't go into the business class lounge at the airport without eating everything on the buffet? I would feel like I was being cheated or robbed. What is it in me that made me feel that when I was stressed or in feeling scared or anxious, that food was what I needed to turn to? It all had to do with those questionings and exercises that we went through in the relationship pillar. Then the second pillar is on energy, like understanding our natural energy flows. So we did energy audits to determine what times of the day are we naturally energized. And we had a process for doing that. And it really helped all of us in the group. I mean, it helped me when I did it personally, but as I taught it to the others in the group, they began to see what times of day they should schedule their high priority tasks. They also began to observe what were the things that were energy vampires in their lives, the people, the situations, and things that were sucking away their energy and their time. And then we were also able to see that, throughout all of this, when we came to nutrition, only after having treated relationship and energy, we were able to make better nutritional choices. So that's why I say the Renew framework is not a diet plan. It's not an exercise group or, fad diet. It really is a lifestyle modification framework. Through this framework, my life has been significantly modified. I make very different choices about everything now because it's been a shift in how I do life. Um, After nutrition, we look at exercise. How do we integrate movement into our lives? Simple things like, I sit in this desk for hours a day. I'm sitting in my home office for this webinar. So I sit at this desk for hours a day, having reminders to just get up and stand or do quick movements. I believe in movement more than I believe in exercise. So I want to find enjoyable ways to move my body so that, it can continue to serve me. The scriptures say that it's in God that we live and it's God that we move. So I think God expects us to move. So in him we live, in him we move, and it's in him that we have our being. So that's what I taught through the exercise pillar. Exercise should be about integrating movement. And throughout the challenge, we did exercises together. I was showing the group the exercises that I've been doing because at the beginning I focused more on nutrition and that led to rapid weight loss. And now I'm doing more exercises to become more toned because you know what happens when you lose a lot of weight, then the parts that used to be bigger now start to sag. So that was what we did with the exercise strategy. And then lastly, this was a big one for me, but also many of the women that I supported on the Renew Challenge this year. Work. Many of us, work has become an idol in our lives, and it's taken, and it's understandable. We spend most of our waking hours at work. And many of us, the choices that we make or the stresses that we have are connected to our work. And so part of what we did in this is how do we balance the demands of work while protecting ourselves? And part of it was exercises on how do we decouple our identity from what we do to who we are is not just what we do. And it was powerful to see the testimonials that came out of that journey as well. In fact, two of the women, in fact, I ran into one woman yesterday. As I was doing some work for a client, she ended up in the hotel where I was doing the work. And she said, "Wow, I'm your handiwork. Look at me." She kind of, she was looking radiant and amazing, but she's also just been promoted. She says, "I work less, I work more strategically, and I find that because I'm better rested, the quality of my decisions are better." And I gave her a high five and we did a little dance in the hotel lobby because I noticed that too. I now, work sharper. Anywhere I speak or teach or train, people are blown away. It's because I'm working from a place of rest. I'm more rested. I have mental clarity. My body functions better. In years past, if I was doing the amount of work for clients that I've done this week, I've done back-to-back trainings this week for a client, and it became back to back because I was doing travel over the past couple of weeks. So, this was the only window of time that worked. And thankfully, I survived and I thrived because I know the practices, because I've gone through this framework to adjust my eating, to adjust my resting, to adjust all of my schedules to fit the kind of equilibrium that I need to keep in order to be effective. Right. So for me, the challenge for a lot of women is that we feel like we can never, have enough hours in the day. We're overscheduled, we're overworked. But for those of you who want a guide and want some help, I'm glad to share that I'm redoing the challenge again, October 1st to November 22nd. it's another 52-day challenge window opening. And I want to do this with you. For me, it's partly selfish so that I can keep myself on the same track that has brought me these results. But it's also partly so that other people can just learn what I believe God has taught me so that, more of us reap these benefits. The scriptures say that in the last days, so many women are going to place significant roles. And I believe that many of us are going to be on the highest levels in government, in business, in companies, some of us as entrepreneurs. And we need to start treating ourselves like the assets that we are if we will thrive while we do it. So part of it is learning to ask for help. And for me, this is me offering help because I feel we can go further if we go together. So I have testimonials from real women, from Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, USA, and beyond, who lost weight, like me, reversed chronic disease, and have gained mental clarity. 42 women went through the journey with me from from June 10th to August 1st. And the community is still very vibrant. They're supporting each other. And I told them that I was going to reopen and let other people join us. So October 1st to November 22nd, if you're looking for help to regain your vitality, regain your vigor, a lot of women have done it. People have been sending me text messages. I'm just showing you a few of them. Someone has dropped off her medications for hypertension. There was someone who had swelling and inflammation in her hand. By the end of the challenge, it was gone. Someone was trying for a baby, in the middle of the challenge, she got pregnant. Like I tell you, so many great things have happened. And they call me a positive menace as well. As you can see on the left-hand side, they've been teasing me in the group that I am a very positive menace. Mainly because I see what this framework has done in my life. And if you feel hungry for transformation like I was, and you feel like you need a teacher and a guide, I'm raising my hand to say, yes, I will help you. Coach Paps joined the 52-day challenge in June, and I'm looking forward for her and I to work together to support those of us who feel inclined to join our 52-day challenge that we're reopening October 1st to the 22nd. So for me, this is what has resulted in a lot of shift. I'm in a better place mentally, spiritually, physically. My marriage is in a better place. And I began to realize that, wait, some of these arguments that I was having, I think I was just irritable because I was tired. Do I have some witnesses in the house? When you're tired, you're not your best self. When you're overworked, overscheduled, overextended, you are not your best self. And decisions that we make are often made from a place of anxiety and fear and panic and tiredness and irritability. So I know this works because it's not a generic plan. It's a holistic framework that helped me and 42 other women get some real transformations in their lives. So for me, this is my offer to you today. I want to be able to work with uh, as many leaders that feel called to start treating themselves as assets. Maybe you like me are on medications for things, and I don't believe that that's God's best for us. He wants us well, he wants us equipped, he wants us sharp, he wants us ready to do what he's called us to do. So if you are ready, the renewed challenge is reopening October 1st, and it will end on November 22nd. And if you're interested, it's daily actions that you'll be taking over the 52-day period. We have weekly coaching calls. And then you'll have, access to the group. We have accountability mechanisms so that people, have a buddy to take the journey with. And then we provide resources. We're not a weight loss plan. We are not doctors. We are not any of that, but we share guidance about what's working for us. And we encouraged everyone in the group to consult their doctors as well so that everyone was being supervised. I mean, I was believing God for healing, but I kept going to my doctor. And I recommend everyone does the same. So, I know we teach the treat them yourself like an asset module. But if you need a tool and a community to make you accountable to do the things, then maybe this is for you. Maybe, maybe you want to transform your life significantly. And I tell you, for us, it's about the impact. It's not even about the money. Some of you on the call today, you've worked with me as a one-on-one coach, so I'm not cheap. But we really wanted to structure this in such a way that anybody who wanted to could really get into it. It's a really valuable journey. If you were going to do the journey and if we're going to cost it out to comparable programs around the world, it would be at least $2,000. With the live coaching calls, it would be at least nearly like $2,500. In fact, I have a client right now that I'm doing coaching for, communications, public speaking coaching. And, she just paid me $2,000 to just do a few virtual sessions for her. So for me, it's not about trying to make money. I'm trying to reach more people. And you may ask, why then is it not free? It's not free because when you pay attention. Can you write that in the chat? When you pay attention. I'm not looking for people to just join a club. I'm looking for people who are transformation hungry, ready to invest in themselves and treat themselves like an asset. So for me, if you're ready to join the challenge, my colleague Daisy will put in the chat box the link to the registration link. You can register and we'll share more information with you on how you can pay and get signed up. But the train is leaving the station October 1st, and it will be the on the road for 52 days until November 22nd. But if you want to end this year as a better version of you, if you want to start practicing integrity with yourself for once, if you're ready to see a more expansive version of you emerge. If you're ready to elevate, then join us for this journey because I'm living proof that it works. And I'm looking forward to seeing what God might do in you if you were to say yes. So there ends my official presentation. I want to thank you for joining this webinar and letting me share with you my personal journey, my personal struggles, my personal transformations and shifts. Thank you also for, considering joining this program. Maybe, like I said at the beginning, you're thinking of other people, but today I want you to think about just you. What do you need, to re-kick, out of these 5 strategies I've given you: relationship, energy, nutrition, exercise, and work? What aspect do you need to get a handle on in order to be the best version of yourself? And if you're being honest with yourself, I just want you to just be clear-minded about what you need. And if this is calling out to you, I want you to sign up. So I'm going to, open the floor for questions and interactions. This wasn't supposed to go deep because I just wanted to give you broadly the strategies. Those who come into the challenge will walk day to day with you and teach you the tactics. But today was really a broad overview because, like I said, this Renew framework, I feel, is a secret weapon that is in my laps that I want to give more people. And I really, really hope that if you feel ready and you feel committed, that you'll say yes to taking the journey with us. So if you have a question, you can type it in the chat box, or you can also use the raise hand function, and we would be happy to call you to unmute and share. All right. While the presentation was going, I wasn't reading the chat box. So let me open the chat box and see what's going on. Oh, so many chats. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Lots of engagement here. So my colleague Daisy has just shared the link to the Renew Challenge. The train is leaving the station October 1st. If you want to join us, please click the link and join us there. But like I said, this is a high value coaching program. Most challenges go on for 2 days or 3 days or 5 days, but you will be stuck with us for 52 days. That's nearly 3 months. Can you imagine? Have you ever done a coaching program for 3 months, like nearly 3 months, like 60 days? Is that 3 months or 2 months? Okay, nearly 2 months, right? But I tell you, those who did the program really left transformed, and I want to see more transformations. I want more people to not just admire what's happened in me, but also, I want to be admiring what's happened in other people as well. So too many of us are, in need of a reboot and a replenishing, a rejuvenation. And if that's you, we are excited to work with you. I see in the chat box, when is the deadline? I believe the doors close at the end of this month because it starts on October 1st. It's a fully virtual program, so you can join it from anywhere in the world. Like I said, we had people from 7 different countries. Everything is recorded, so whatever you miss, you will be able to catch up with. But it's about the accountability, and every day we bombard you with resources and tips and resources, and you will just really, really be well supported. I guarantee you that. All right. So someone is saying this is quite exciting. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all the kind words coming out. Um, I know that we're down to our final 4 minutes or so. I don't see any hands up. So I guess nobody has a question that they feel burning to ask audibly. But my colleagues, Paps and Daisy, are in the chat box, so I'm sure they'll help me answer whatever I may have missed. But I really want to thank you. My vision personally is that more and more leaders around the world that are called to transformation will do the work of transformation in themselves. I work with very senior leaders at different levels, and I know that many of them are very unwell. Mental stresses of the job and the considerations can stress anybody as it was stressing me. So I'm not saying that you'll never be stressed if you join the program, but I am saying you'll learn the strategies to really bring yourself back to a better place, so that in spite of the stresses, you'll have the fortitude to react and to thrive while you do it. All right. So I don't see any other questions, but I see lots of people sharing excitement. What was your biggest aha? Can you tell me in the chat box? I want to know which part of the presentation was most insightful for you. Can you imagine, 52 days, what might happen for you? I at last count, I've shed over 42 kilos of weight. That's nearly 100 pounds. And I was telling a friend of mine, it's almost as if 3 children were pulled out of my body at once, 3 toddlers were pulled out of my body. And, I see my skin is much better, my energy, my stamina, all of these things are just so much better. And I'm grateful to the Lord for that. So I just really want to thank, you know, God for leading me into the discovery of this Renew framework and for giving me the capacity to organize the knowledge and teach it to other people so that they can see their own transformations. And I feel excited about working with more people because, after your first cohort, I was telling that cohort that I wasn't sure, but when they started to see results, it gave me confidence like, wow, this really worked. So I just give God all the glory for that. Thank you for sharing your aha moments. I see that some of you are sharing, wow, a clear vision, a guided pathway, the fundamentals. Yes, yes, I love it. Thank you for sharing your ahas. I see so many of you. Someone says 42 kilos, my mouth is wide open. I'm inspired to join. Yes, I tell you, it works. Did you see my before and after photo in the slide deck? I used to be 126 kilos. So I tell you, I'm not trying to be a stick figure, I'm not trying to be bones, but I feel good. I like what I see when I look in the mirror. My new problem is that I've had to replace my wardrobe. I now don't fit into anything anymore because, I've shed so much weight. But that means now I have more options. I can shop in new sections of the stores that I couldn't shop in before, So I just really, really want you to know that change is possible and it can happen without weight loss surgery, without diet pills, without all sorts of, chemicals into our body. And I teach all of that in the Renew framework because I think I had to renew my mind also about what I was putting in my body. In the past, I would take these weight loss pills, I would drink things, I would put concoctions in my body, and I didn't realize that those too were causing issues. So yeah, I look forward to journeying with as many of you as feel, compelled to join us. We're really, really excited. Um, all right. Yes, when you pay attention. That was somebody's aha moment. Yeah. I've given away so many things for free before. And I tell you, as someone who's passionate about teaching, it's hard sometimes to make people pay for things. But I've come to the place that I realize that if it's a service to them when they pay, because if they pay, they will pay attention. They will place a demand on everything that I have to offer. But when you get things free, you don't really pay attention. Even the Bible says where your treasure is, there your heart is. We need your hearts in this. Transformation doesn't happen if your heart isn't in it. And the Bible says that where your heart treasure is, that's where your heart is. So give your treasure to this so that your heart will be in it. Yeah, I love it. All right. Now, Yawa, this is something I really want to be a part of. No pills, no chemicals, no meds. Nope, nope, nope. In fact, I am so anti-med right now. I don't even take, headache medicine. In the past, I used to have these headaches all the time. I used to have night sweats. I used to have muscle cramps, and all of these were side effects of the blood pressure medication, the cholesterol medication, and the diabetes medication. And so when I have a headache these days, maybe then it's a sign that I'm dehydrated. But now I can't even remember the last time I had a headache because I'm doing the practices that give my body the right conditions to just function. So I don't need strange things in my body. And I tell you, I can't wait to teach it all, to just download all that I've come to learn because I've seen it transform the lives of these 42 women. And, I'm hoping hundreds will join so that I can reach more people and more people can be set on the path that they need to be better versions of themselves, to do the work God has called them to do. So, on that note, I want to say thank you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for holding me in a safe space so I could share vulnerably. Thank you for just being earnest in learning. Thank you for your engagement in the chat box. Thank you for the questions. We will be sharing the recording of this with everybody who registered because I know not everyone was able to join at the right time. We just want to encourage you if you feel that there are people in your networks that might be interested in the challenge, you can, of course, share the link with them as well. So, on that note, I just want to, if you will oblige, I want to pray for you. I think praying for people is one of the kindest gifts you can give. So, I'd love to give the gift of prayer to you if you will oblige. So, dear God, I thank you for everyone who's joined and everyone who's watching this recording. I pray that wherever they are in need of renewal, that you who renewed me when I started studying your word about what Nehemiah did in 52 days and caught an inspiration to just give you 52 days and see what would happen if I would just do these practices that you were inspiring me with. I pray that just like how you renewed me, you will renew your people, that everyone who's here hungry for change, who is dying under the weight of shame, of disgust with themselves, of just knowing they are capable of being so much better, but they're not. I pray that first and foremost, they will receive your mercy, and that you will put them in a position where they can be ready for change. Because when change when they are ready for change, you send teachers, you send helpers, you send counselors and coaches and things. And so for everyone who you are assigning me as a coach to through the challenge, I pray that you'll give them the resourcing that is necessary to get them through the door. And I pray that everyone for whom this is not possible, that you will send them help in another way, because you said that you will renew our youth, like just like how the eagle renews. And I pray that just like the eagle, you will send us into the cleft of the rock, which I believe is Christ, and that you will help us to make the choices that will restore the vitality, the vigor, and the vibrancy that's needed so that we can truly do the things that you've called us to do in Jesus' name. Amen. So God bless you. I pray that anything that was once a ceiling over your head will become the floor under your feet. Until next time, my friend, stay well. Mwah. Bye.